Hello guys, welcome back to Tiny Scroll. Be sure to like AMD subscribe. Saving Nora Episode 4. Nora stared at Justin, her mouth hanging half open in astonishment. The man was very tall, standing at just a little over 6 foot tall. He was dressed in a black bespoke suit that drew the eye to his long, straight legs. The lavish hotel light spilled across his blank expression, highlighting the angles of his face. He radiated arrogance. However, the mole at the corner of his eye brought a charming touch of human beauty to his cool conduct. For all his haughtiness, his manner was restrained. The little boy he was holding also wore a suit. He had buried his head in the man's shoulder. A casual onlooker might have assumed he was just a shy child, but he had been taught to hide his face when he went out in public. The Hunt family feared the media might try to take photos of their youngest child and start trouble for him. But Nora was in no mood to wonder about the child in Justin's arms or appreciate Justin's good looks. She had more important things to worry about. Had Justin Hunt found out that she was Athena? The alarming idea had just occurred to her when she noticed Justin's frown. He looked straight at her and said, "Stay away from my son. Also, you're not my type." His voice was deep and melodious, smooth and musical to the ear. It made people want to hear him speak a little more, at least until they were driven away by his chilly aura. Nora's eyelids had been drooping because of drowsiness, but now they widened big and round in confusion. Before she could recover from her surprise, he turned away and strode off. The other people in the hotel lobby looked at her all at once and then took a step back as if she was contagious. Hushed whispers broke out amongst the crowd. That was a bad move. They said, "I've heard many people have tried to get close to Mr. Hunt through his son, but he hates that more than anything." The last woman who tried to cozy up to the Hunt's youngest ended up with some old man in the end. I don't know what the woman did, but clearly she screwed up. It was only when Nora overheard their comments that she finally understood why Mr. Hunt had spoken to her so rudely. She shook her head in disbelief at his arrogant assumption. Is that man out of his mind? Once Justin had left, his bodyguards also withdrew. Guys, please don't withdraw from this video without hitting the subscribe button. Thanks. Ooh, and you can also be generous enough to leave a like. After a few moments, the hotel lobby went back to normal. Inside the Hunt family's extra long black Bentley, Justin's son, Pete, had a solemn look on his face, and he made a silent protest. Justin frowned. After his son's abnormal behavior earlier that night, he had checked the surveillance camera footage in the corridor. There he saw that woman he had just encountered in the lobby had kissed and hugged his son. The problem was that for the very first time, Pete, who had always avoided others and disliked physical contact, hadn't resisted. Had that woman overcome his son's shyness with her beauty? He thought back to her sheer loveliness that even her casual clothing couldn't hide. There had been a kind of wild carelessness in her manner, from the way she stood to her gesture when she yawned, not to mention that startling defiance in her cat-like eyes when she was facing him. She was utterly unlike any other woman. He wondered what trick she had up her sleeve. Back at the Smith house, Anthony arrived just as the birthday party was ending. Angela's face was swollen, and a clear handprint could be seen on her cheeks. She pressed a towel filled with ice cubes to the bruise. In tears, she complained, "Why are you so late, Anthony?" He looked uncomfortable for a moment. On the way to the Smiths, he had taken a detour and asked a private investigator to help him find out more about the beautiful woman he had seen at the airport that day. Anthony coughed awkwardly and put on an anxious and concerned look. "What happened? Did Nora hit you? Is she refusing to cancel the engagement? Where is she? I'll take care of it myself." Angela hesitated. Take care of it himself? But that means he'll see her. She thought of that aggressively beautiful face, and her heart filled with dread. She tried to tell herself she was being silly. Even if Anthony were to see Nora again, that didn't mean he would like what he saw, right? Angela tightened her hold on the towel. Finally she said, "Anthony, you don't need to go in person. It's not about you. She just won't let go of the company. Don't worry. I'll make her come around." In the end, Anthony didn't insist. He was too distracted to really hear what Angela was saying. He nodded and said, "We need to get that company or Grandpa will never agree to our engagement. I'll leave this matter to you. I don't want to see her pig-like face either. How did she look? I bet she got even uglier while she was away, right?" Angela hesitated. She avoided answering the question. "Just saying you don't have to worry about seeing her again. I'll definitely come up with a solution." "Okay." After leaving the Smiths, Anthony drove absent-mindedly. His mind was filled with memories of the woman from the airport. He didn't know who she was, but her aura and her beauty were unlike anything he had seen in his life. He thought to himself, it'd be great if I could marry her instead. As soon as the thought formed, he was overcome with a strong desire to see her again. A moment later, he received a call from the private investigator. "Mr. Gray, I couldn't find the identity of your mystery woman, but I found the hotel where she's staying." Anthony's eyes lit up. "Send me the address." When Nora reached her suite, she found that Mrs. Lewis had already put Cherry to bed. The little girl was already asleep. Nora went straight to the study. She sat on the sofa and made a call. "Solo, give me everything you can about Idealian pharmaceuticals." The usually lively voice on the other end sounded a little petulant. "Hey, watch your tone, Athena. You can't boss me around just because you saved my life. I'm the world's #1 hacker. I deserve some respect. I'm not running your errands. Name a fair price and we'll call it even. How does that sound?" The corners of Nora's lips curled upward slightly. "Sure. How much is your life worth?" After a moment of silence, Solo said, "Fine. Give me 5 minutes." 5 minutes later, Solo emailed her all the information they had about Idealian Pharmaceuticals, the company Nora's mother had left behind when she died. Nora had only been a child at the time, so the company had been put in the care of a dedicated manager. She had never taken much interest in the company in all this time, but for her father to want it so much, to demand that she give it to Angela as a wedding gift, Nora figured there must be something fishy going on. She carefully combed through the information until she heard faint footsteps from out in the hotel's soundproof corridor. Disturbed by the sound, Nora frowned. Seeing her look, Mrs. Lewis explained, "There are people staying in the presidential suite next door. I heard. It's Mr. Hunt himself." Just then, Nora's cell phone beeped. It was a message from Solo. "The Hunts are very impressive. Mr. Hunt just offered me a few $1 million to tell him whether you're a man or a woman. Athena, you're in trouble. Justin Hunt again." Nora cast her cat like eyes slightly downward. Her long, slender fingers tapped a few times on the keyboard as she thought. Finally, she replied, "I want you to send him a message for me in the presidential suite next door." The tall and slender Justin sat on the sofa and leaned back. His assistant, Lawrence Zimmer, stood by respectfully. "Mr. Hunt, Solo has a message for you from Dr. Athena." Justin looked up coldly. "What is it?" Lawrence coughed awkwardly and adjusted his glasses. He read out the message as matter-of-factly as he could manage. "Dr. Athena asks, Mr. Hunt, are you rushing to find me because you need brain surgery?" Justin stared at him. Lawrence shivered in the silence. He felt like the temperature in the room was dropping to freezing point. It took several long moments for Justin to get control of his anger. When he felt he could speak again, he snapped, "Show me that photo." Lawrence instantly understood what he meant. He wanted to see the photo of Dr. Athena they had obtained earlier that day for an exorbitant price. Speaking of price, I just came to let you know that hitting the subscribe button is free, so you can hit it and also turn on the notification, all for free. He pulled up the file and handed the photo to Justin. Justin took it. He wanted to get a good look at the face of the person who dared make fun of him. Subscribe. Ping.